Hi everyone, Trina here, and this is Origins of Soul 7.8, and we were getting into gathering new experiences. So apparently this is a major part of what we do with our soul is gather new experiences, play new parts, play new roles, do new things to gain as much wisdom as we can while we're here. I got kids home, so there might be a little traffic behind me, so I'll apologize up front in case. So, gathering new experiences. As well, it says gathering new experiences as well. There comes a point when a soul is asked to do something new, so it does not stagnate, and it can continue the dance of evolution. Thus, the Council of Elders may encourage the soul to step outside of its comfort zone. For example, a soul that has relied on fabulous good looks might decide to select a body with an average appearance to learn compassion or humility, or to focus on mental or spiritual development. A soul that has been a warrior again and again may decide to sustain an injury so great that it cannot continue to go down that path, and it must begin to cultivate its other talents. A soul that has misused its own personal power repeatedly may choose to become the willing victim of abuse in the next life in order to learn about pain and suffering caused by such abuse of power. Yep, what you create, you got to come back and experience. I keep seeing this theme coming across over and over again. Along these lines, one particular reading comes to mind. This was for a 27-year-old man who in his former life had died as a British fighter pilot in World War I. He immediately returned to another body as a British fighter pilot in World War II, where once again he died in war at an early age. Determined to continue fighting, this soul quickly reincarnated, at this time in America, where once again he enlisted in the Army and subsequently died in the swamps of Vietnam. In his current life, this young man's soul has apparently decided that enough is enough. He became a conscious objector, only opposing the philosophy of war. Now he is a rehabilitation specialist focused on helping wounded veterans. Each life is planned so that it can contribute to our soul's evolution if we let it. And while the mental and emotional abilities that we have achieved in past lifetimes have followed us into our current life, perhaps whispering to us to make a bigger difference in the world. Sometimes that is not the path of our greatest evolution. In some lifetimes, we are meant to develop the missing parts of ourselves that we have put to the side because we were dealing with larger issues. For the brave, courageous soul who has given much to others at a larger leadership level, playing a small level is not always a comfortable or easy thing. I have read for souls that have incarnated as leaders in many lifetimes to the exclusion of a personal life. That in this lifetime they have been told to take a vacation in order to address these neglected parts of themselves. They have pursued work and service at the expense of their own personal intimacy, So their mission in this life may be to develop the bonds of familial love, family love, strong, intimate connections. Conversely, so many souls have been steeped in the confines and responsibilities of a family life that in this lifetime they may have decided not to marry so that they can develop the other parts of themselves. So while these souls may be consciously pinning after that perfect soulmate relationship, that is not their path in this life. It is always best to use the time that is given to us to find our greatest service and to step up in our own lives so that we can make a difference. The soul's reluctancy to try something new can also apply to the choice of race or gender. For example, a soul that has been male in many past lifetimes might be encouraged to choose a female body. Once she arrives on Earth, however, she doesn't feel like she fits into the female form, so she becomes a lesbian or transgender. She may even go as far as to undergo surgery because she is so uncomfortable in the body that she is in. The problem is she is so unfamiliar with this gender. So, however, at a higher level, this choice to change genders in midstream may actually be self-defeating, since this was not the original person's life plan. Yet, let me say that there are many reasons why people do choose to undergo a life born as homosexual or transgender. One size does not fit all. For some, this may be the only way for the soul to make a transition from one sex to another with ease. Another soul may have chosen to be born as a gay person for a more evolved reason. Perhaps they came to experience the lessons of courage, speaking up, non-judgment, self-honoring, or forgiveness of others. Perhaps they came to teach lessons to their families who are steeped in gender prejudice. Each situation is different, and each path is unique. Yet, the more that we can embrace the lessons that are presented to us by our current circumstances, the better off we will all be. By asking ourselves how the early circumstances of our life can catalyze us into our life purpose, we can find the silver lining behind these choices. When we do so, our life flows with greater ease. Whatever the original soul choices may have been, some of us are more stubborn than others. Yes, we agreed to make a change in this lifetime, but now we resist it. So events must occur to alter the soul's path. Perhaps a soul has been born as a warrior in many lifetimes. So the soul agrees to sustain a physical injury so that its old path is now closed. Perhaps that same soul is here to awaken the inner artist, to inspire others to write inspirational books or teach children. Now with the old path closed to them, through what appears to be a tragedy, the soul can open up to the new frontier before it. It is important at this juncture not to be afraid to ask for mentoring while stepping into this new endeavor. This lifetime is not about clinging to old patterns, but rather about embracing the new. Something great is in store for the person who takes this step, knowing that a rebirth will come from these outwardly difficult events. Adversity is always a part of the path of the master. For example, one soul may take on a childhood illness that seems to be a tragedy, yet we agree to such things before we arrive on earth. And the reason can be most insightful: to inspire others, to launch a life mission, to allow the parents to experience unconditional love, to balance karma. Perhaps this soul is destined to become a great healer, and having this infirmity is what was needed to catapult that person onto their path. From the ashes of our disasters rise the victories of our souls. Many years ago, I remember reading about a man who was wrongly convinced of murder. He used his time in prison to start a spiritual study group in the prison, uplifting his fellow inmates for many years until he was finally exonerated and released. So whatever our circumstances, however grim they may be, we must always ask ourselves what we could have intended when we agreed to take on these challenges. That's so brilliant. And while I'm reading that, I keep seeing autism is not a disability. It's a different ability. And I think the wisdom behind creation is so much bigger than we can possibly comprehend. And I see so many of these children coming onto this planet, and this is definitely something new. So I'm very interested to see what develops through the abilities and gifts of these autistic children, because some of them are probably going to change the world. So it's amazing to watch. Okay, so revolving karmic relationships. Oops, sorry. While career and occupations may seem to be the central focus of some people's lives, other lives are primarily focused on resolving karma and relationships. This can be with our parents, our siblings, our children, our bosses, or our spouses. While some of these relationships may flow smoothly, other relationships seem to be a thorn in our side. However, most people to whom we have strong emotional reactions and entanglements are those who we have known in past lifetimes. These people may even be members of your soul family who have incarnated to help all parties resolve past issues. While in some of our lifetimes, we may have been supportive of one another, in others, we may have experienced betrayal, abandonment, or even abuse, and thus we return to this lifetime with these same souls to resolve all these particular issues. In heaven, these people are our friends, but in this lifetime, we may have volunteered to play the role of the challenger so that both parties grow. Once we incarnate, however, we do not remember these soul agreements, and thus it is easy to fall into the patterns of blaming others for our problems. In some cases, old friends may have been with us many times. While some lifetimes may have been supportive, others were not. Thus, we have returned in this lifetime to resolve old resentments by understanding that life is like a cosmic play where everyone has agreed to play their part. It can help us, and we can avoid falling back into creating negative patterns and blame. To untangle these threads, we must be ever vigilant and committed to a path of examination and forgiveness. Over the course of thousands of readings, I have seen many dances take place between friends and enemies. In some cases, these two souls are actually dealing with two sides of the same issue. One person may be too much of a taker, while the other one is too much of a giver. Yet both people are dealing with the same core lessons: boundaries, energies, fairness, and self-love. One person falls into the role of the victim, while the other one plays the persecutor. Yet the lesson for both individuals is about right use of power. In one relationship, a person is too rigid or controlling, while another person is an irresponsible gambler. Yet both people are grappling with the same core issue of trust, lack, fear, and flow. Just at the opposite ends of the spectrum, their issues arise from not feeling enough love, causing both people to look outside of themselves or to show up their sense of insecurity. That's amazing. Next is the wounded healer. I've seen that too in dealing with therapy. I have seen this interaction with the roles that we play in the dynamics and family systems, and how these different roles are being executed throughout these structures that we are intimately connected to. It's profound to see the dynamics that we create for ourselves to be born into, and the things that we create that we can have challenges and learn from. It's literally profound. And when things utterly traumatize you, when you can see these experiences from a higher place in your mind, like in a light meditative state or a light trance state, if you can see this working with your own inner guidance and your own inner wisdom, or your own inner child, or your own soul, see how you set this up and see what the benefits will be for you. See how it's going to affect the other lifetimes of past situations that you were trying to overcome. When you can see these things from a higher place, it completely removes the trauma from your body. And that is a beautiful gift that you can give to yourself. And it is permanent, and it is real, and it is profound in its power. It literally activates what they call the placebo effect, or spontaneous healing, or miracles. And I've seen them, and it's by a change of heart, because you don't feel the same way about the trauma anymore. And when you change your heart, it changes the mental neural pathways in your mind, and it heals the trauma. It doesn't take away any of the wisdom or the knowledge of the experience. It just relieves you from the negative charge that you're holding in your emotional body to that information. So I hope many of you can receive that gift within your lifetime and give it to many others and share it as much as you can. So the wounded healer, whatever our karmic lessons, unless we make an effort to clear that issue, we will remain blocked in that area of life. Along these lines, I want to relate to the story of a wounded healer who could not seem to heal herself. Years ago, I read for a woman who had trained as a nurse, yet she could not bring herself to practice that profession. Upon inquiring, I had learned that she had taken dozens of classes on various forms of healing, some modern, some ancient. Yet she could not bring herself to apply what she had learned. What was the reason for this? During the course of her reading, I saw that she had been a doctor, a nurse, an herbalist, and a healer in about 60% of her lifetimes. So clearly, this was an important soul theme for her. However, in one of these most recent lifetimes, she was a British nurse in the front lines of World War I. When the war broke out, her father, her brother, and fiancé all enlisted in the army, and during that conflict, they all died one by one. First, she learned of her father, and then she learned of her brother, and finally, she learned of her fiancé. Then she herself perished when a mortar shell hit the triage tents. At the time of her death, she carried with her all the anguish, despair, and hopelessness of her loss, believing that nothing she could ever do to help others would really ever even matter. After all, what is the point if everyone I love perished? In her current life, this young woman still carried out this same unhealed belief that even though her soul was trying to direct her back towards healing, she needed to heal the past life experiences so she could reclaim her power. This is how past life healing works, whether through hypnotherapy, timeline, or regressive therapy, or holographic repatterning. All these different modalities that I've practiced for years. And I know of more. There's others. There's many different ways. There's Reiki. There's journey work. There's massage therapy. There's foot protocols, ear protocols, crystal technology, crystal therapies. There are so many different ways that you can access these levels and access your own healing powers and potentials. All the modalities that I have practiced for years. These memories, beliefs, and unconscious patterns are held all in the causal body and steep into our current life as mental and emotional blocks until we can discover and release the underlying cause behind these blocks, the mend and traumas and wounds of the past. We are unable to move forward again with joy and ease. They do. They drag you down and they hold you in belief systems about yourself that are typically sabotaging and self-defeating. In doing emotional healing work for over 30 years, I have discovered that by resolving these hidden conflicts, our lives can change fundamentally. This is true. For many, this means untangling the threads of personal relationships or resolving old feelings of powerlessness created by past life tragedies. For others, it means releasing a vow of negative belief from the past. For others, it's about dissolving the feeling that you have done something wrong, changing a core belief, or needing to find forgiveness for yourself or of others. These powerful, misaligned emotions brought on by our previous life experiences may have been festering in the present life at a deep subconscious level. Once they are dissolved, you can move on and you are free to reclaim your power in the present and achieve your dreams and fulfill your contract for all the things that you wanted to master, achieve, learn, experience, and do while you are here incarnated on Earth. So I will pick up on the power to change our lives on the next one. We're already getting a little bit long. I got the sun in my face. Much love to you all, and we will see you on the next one. I hope you have a wonderful day. Manifest well, and may soul be with you all. Talk to you soon. Bye.